Hi, thanks for joining us. We're doing some baked kale chips today on Cook, Love, Heal. And I think these are super delicious. Kids love them and adults love them too. But it is a great way to use up some leftover kale if you have like a half of a bunch left over and you don't want it to go bad. It's a great way to use it up because a whole bunch of kale is going to shrink down to a very small amount of chips. And these could be done in a dehydrator, but I don't have a dehydrator. A lot of people don't have dehydrators, so we're going to do these in a 300-degree oven instead. And so just preheat your oven. Make sure there's nothing in it when you're preheating it. And then get yourself a big sheet pan, the largest one you have, or two smaller sheet pans. And then we're going to take some curly kale. You could also use dinosaur kale or red kale or Russian kale, but we've got curly kale today. And I washed this really well. In these stems here, you have to make sure that you really wash this well because oftentimes there's fine sand and mud in there, and you want to make sure that you're not going to have that in your final product. So just wash it really well, and then you can either put the kale in a salad spinner to dry it, or I just used some absorbent towels and I kept changing them and kind of patting it dry until there was no more moisture on it. So it's important to dry the leaves to make sure that the oil is going to stick that we're going to put on in just a little bit. So I want to show you how we're going to destem the kale. We want to make the pieces as large as possible so that we can make chips out of these. So I usually take the top part and just make that into one chip. It looks really big now, but this is going to shrink up quite a bit. So take off the top. This one went into two pieces or maybe three. So you just want to kind of go down the stem and remove these. Some of the pieces are going to be really small. And then you could use this in the compost. You could chop it into small rounds. The stems are totally edible, so they, you can saute them and put them in fried rice, or sometimes we bring them to our the chickens at my daughter's school. So just don't waste those because those are nutritious. I'm gonna again take the top off, which has a very, very small amount of stem on it. That's a nice. Someone's gonna be lucky to get that chip. And then just kind of make these into bite-sized pieces. Okay. And now I've got, this is one bunch of kale right here. These that I already took off the stem. So you can keep, if you're cooking along with me, you can keep taking the kale off the stem. This is about half of a bunch here. And the other half of a bunch is here. And I'm not even going to be able to put all of these on one of the sheets because we want to spread the kale leaves out in a single layer. And so for an entire bunch of kale, you'll need about a tablespoon of olive oil if you're measuring, but I'm just going to drizzle it on. You want there to be an adequate amount that you coat the leaves very lightly, but you don't want it to be heavily coated with olive oil. So you can kind of massage this in gently so that you don't break the leaves into smaller pieces. You want them to stay nice and whole like this. And if it's too difficult to do in the bowl, go ahead and put it on the sheet. Sometimes it requires a little bit more space. And so I'm just going to make sure all the leaves are coated with a little bit of olive oil. I've heard that some people use coconut oil. I haven't tried that. Coconut oil, you might need to melt it a little bit before you put it on. You could probably use something like avocado oil, but I generally like to use olive oil for mine. I'm just going to get the last bit of olive oil from the bowl there. So this is pretty good. And this spout that I have drizzles out really slowly, so I bet I didn't put any more than a teaspoon and a half or 2 teaspoons at the most on my kale. So, as for seasonings, you could do something really simple like sea salt. That's one of my favorite ways of making it. But you can get a little fancier if you want to use nutritional yeast flakes. This is a good brand called Now. You can add some sea salt to the nutritional yeast flakes. You could add some ground rosemary, some ground dried sage, some onion powder, some garlic powder, that type of savory mix. I have a recipe for homemade popcorn with a cashew parmesan. You could take that cashew parmesan recipe and put that right on the kale chips. I normally either do sea salt or I do this nutritional yeast mixture that I have, which is made from nutritional yeast and all the things I was talking about before: garlic powder, onion powder, ground rosemary, and ground sage. They make this at my daughter's school and sell it. It's called Pop and Shake. But you can make your own. And again, it's delicious with sea salt. You could also put sea salt and chili flakes. I mean, not chili flakes, chili powder. Chili flakes might be good.
That might be good.
Yeah. Okay. And then I'm going to put a little extra salt because this mixture doesn't have too much on it. And then I'm going to try to spread these out as evenly as I can so that each leaf is touching the metal. You could also line this sheet with parchment paper, but I found that they get a little bit crispier if you just do it straight on the sheet. So these are a little bit crowded, I would say. So let's see what else I can do here. I think I'm going to try it like this and see how it comes out. So I'm going to put these in the 300-degree oven and I'm going to work on one more sheet. Those are going to go in for 10 minutes. So let's see. Another sheet here. I've made these over the years for various clients of mine, some of them with kids, and they always wanted me to make more. Make more, make more. I'm like, well, I can make more, but do you want me to spend my whole 3 hours there doing kale chips? So usually I just do one bunch at a time because it does take a little bit of time. Some of the time right now is just because I'm wanting to explain what's going on. Okay. So again, you can season this however you like, either with salt and pepper or some kind of other seasoning. I'm going to put this Pop and Shake on because we found that we like it a lot. Let me know if you want some Pop and Shake. I think I can order it from my daughter's school. They make it with the herbs from their garden, which is really special. And I can probably get it to you if you're local. It is really delicious on popcorn. Okay. So this is, again, it might be a little bit crowded on this sheet I'll show you, I'm going to put these in the oven after the next sheet is out because I don't want to crowd them too much in the oven either. So I'm going to show you some that I made a little earlier this morning. Some of these had sea salt. I think on this side, these were done with sea salt. And look how small they got. I mean, this was like considered a big piece. And look how small it got just by, kind of dehydrating. So what I did was I put this in for 10 minutes. These have pop and shake on them. I did half and half on each side of the sheet. And this was a nice big sheet pan. I recommend it if you have a sheet pan this big to use one. But anyway, I put them in the oven at 300 for 10 minutes. And then I took them out and flipped them over. You might not need to do that, but at least you should check on them after 10 minutes, maybe turn the sheet around, or you can take them out, flip each one over. And then I put them back in for 7 minutes, and then I took them out, and they were perfectly crispy. You'll want to check your oven maybe a little bit before that, maybe put it in for 3 to 5 minutes after the initial 10 minutes, just in case your oven runs hotter than mine. You wouldn't want to burn them and have to start all over. So I want to show you what they look like when we take them out halfway through. So I'm going to do one more sheet here. And plenty of the pop and shake on since we love that. And a little bit of salt. And see, when you're using a really big pan like this, you can really get them spaced out enough so that they'll get nice and crispy. So I'm going to take some from this other sheet. So you'll have to let me know if you try these. If you try a particular topping that you like, let me know, and I might add it to my list of suggestions. I'm going to do a blog post on this later today. We should probably take a picture of these on the sheet, huh, Nelson? Before we bake them. Okay, so this is about how you want them, where there's a little bit of space in between each one. And just put a little more seasoning. And as far as storing these, you're probably going to eat them before you need to worry about that. But you can leave them out for maybe about an hour or so, and then you can put them in a big glass bowl with a lid on it. And if you have any of those little silicone packets, that would help keep it dry, or just keep it for about a day or two. Otherwise, it's going to get soggy. If you have a dehydrator, that might, make them a little bit more storable, but I'm not sure. I'm going to go check the kale and come right back. That has only been 4 minutes, so. This has only been about 4 minutes, so they're not as crispy as they would be at 10 minutes, but I just kind of want to show you the technique of flipping them over. And if they're not getting crispy, consider taking some off and just making them a little bit more, what am I trying to say? Spaced out. You want them to be spaced out a little bit more on the sheet. So I'm going to put these back in since they were only in for 6 minutes. I'm going to put these in for another 10 minutes. Okay, so I think that's about it. I'll just give you a little rundown of what we're doing and cooking together. Right now, I have a supper club that's virtual, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been keeping us busy and keeping us in touch with people over the pandemic. And each week I send out an email with an instructional video and a recipe and a tip that might be a kitchen tip or a health tip or something that is relevant for the times. And this month we're doing bowls. And so I guess last week we did a salmon bowl with an orange miso dressing. That was really delicious. And then we did we're doing a vegan bowl this week that has lentils and trying to remember the dressing, balsamic shallot vinaigrette, and all kinds of vegetables. So anyway, our theme for the month is fall bowls. And then we'll see where we go from there. We're probably going to be doing some special holiday weeks where we do holiday cooking. And you can always go back to the weeks before when we did Italian month and Southern France month, and oh gosh, we've done Asian cooking, and we've covered a lot of bases in the last 6 months. We're almost to our 6-month anniversary. We've been going for 25 weeks already. So anyway, check that out if you want to see what we've been doing there, and maybe you want to join in now that we're going into the holiday season. And it tends to keep your mind off the news a little bit, which we need to do from time to time. If you get in the kitchen, make something delicious that keeps you healthy and strong.
Andy Therian is here.
Oh, hi, Andy. Thanks for tuning in.
He's asking if there's going to be a recipe link or a video for this
Yes.
you can watch later.
Definitely. We'll have both. The video will be posted right after this, and I'll have it on YouTube by the end of the day. And then also this recipe, I'm going to type it up right after this. We're going to take our pictures and post it either tonight or tomorrow. So no worries, you'll be able to do it. And also the ingredients and everything were posted in a previous comment on my Facebook page, so you can get them there. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Stay healthy, stay sane. We'll be here. Actually, next week I have a conflict. The first time I'm going to miss my Wednesday noon show. I have a cooking class I'm doing online with a local business. And so that's something that I do if your company is interested in doing a wellness event or, part of a wellness event. I do online cooking classes. And so right now, with everybody being home, with their kids working at home too, we're going to do a family cooking class at noon next week. So I won't be here. We'll let you know about that. But we'll be here the week after with a new recipe. So take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon.